Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Noosh. I'm an immigration consultant here in Canada, and on my channel I'm going to be talking about some immigration processes, but more specifically in the humanitarian section. And today we're going to actually be talking about the refugee process, and more specifically the asylum process inside Canada. So a little bit more information about myself. I'm the immigration consultant here at Refugee Immigration Services. I also have the IRB designation, which allows me to talk about the asylum and the refugee process here in Canada. So if you enjoy content like this or you find this information useful, please make sure you follow or subscribe to my channel. And also check out my TikTok. I post there daily about the refugee or other humanitarian immigration processes. So make sure you follow me for more. And my handles for Instagram and TikTok are at BEE the consultant, and they're handles for both. Okay, so let's talk about the refugee process in Canada. And let's start with the inside Canada process, specifically if you're already in Canada. So generally the process works like this. You make a claim mostly on a portal. You submit that portal application, and then once you submit it, it will take some time, and all of these have like some processing times too, so you got to remember that it's not going to be right away. You will get an acknowledgement of claim and also information about the healthcare program if you're eligible. Now once you obtain that, you'll most likely be getting your medical examination request as well, and you have about 30 days since the day of the medical requirement or the letter itself. You have to make sure that you complete this in a timely manner and to have this submitted to IRCC. Now, here you also have to be careful that this is only with panel physicians. Read the medical letter thoroughly, and on there you should have a link where you can find panel physicians near you. Now, once you're going through that process and you've completed it, it'll take some time, but then they'll likely ask you to come in for a biometric / eligibility interview. Now, this could look a little bit different depending on the time and the person. It could be combined into one. There's technically two interviews you do with IRCC, but they could also be separate. Here, the biometrics, they'll get your biometrics from you, like mentioned, but they can also obtain your documentation, like your passport, your identification from your home country, etc. They'll be seizing those from you. Once you've done your biometrics and the process begins, then you'll likely be called in for an eligibility interview. Now here, multiple things happen. They'll ask you about your claim, depending what kind of information they want. This all depends on what the officer is asking you. And then they'll also be reviewing your eligibility to see if you can be referred to the IRB. The IRB stands for Immigration Refugee Board, and specifically for refugee claimants, you'll be going to the Refugee Protection Division. If you are eligible, it will go to them. But going back to the eligibility hearing, like I said, they'll be asking you questions about your claim and etc. But also here, they will likely, and I say likely because it really depends on individuals and the officer and the process and time, they'll also be providing your refugee identification. And also, if you are eligible and if you apply for it, they will notify you when you will be obtaining your work permit. Now, when this step is completed, and let's say that they said that you're successful and be referred to IRB or the Immigration Refugee Board is a different process. This process can look very, very different. You know, at the beginning, they could be requesting certain information, and also they could be requesting information throughout the time. Now, in this process, if everything's going normally, you should be waiting for your hearing. Now, there are certain situations where they send a file review letter where they might be requesting more information, and they may actually accept your claim without a hearing. However, I will preface this, and this is something I've seen personally too. They even mention this on the letter too, is that they can request all this information and whatnot, but they could still request a hearing. Now that's completely normal, and it is their right to do so. But that's kind of what it looks like. But if you do go to a hearing, now hearing is a different process. It's not necessarily like a court. You're not going to be sitting there in front of a judge. You'll be sitting there in front of a member. Now, generally, these are individuals who are trained in the immigration law, specifically the asylum process, and they'll be asking you questions, etc. Now, here's what things can get a little bit different. It could be, the hearing could be between you, your counsel, if you have one, and the member. However, if the minister wants to intervene in your refugee claim, then they can do so, whether this is by writing a letter or they can actually attend the hearing, and they can also be asking you questions as well. So it's really important here to see what is going on with your hearing, especially if you got a date, understand who you will be speaking with, and all this information will be given to you. It's not like the Immigration Refugee Board or IRCC will hide this information from you, but make sure that you have this information. And if you have a counsel, do your very best to obtain this information from them. Alright guys, that's just a big overview of what the asylum process when you make a claim inside Canada looks like. Now there's also, it looks a little bit different if you make a claim at the port of entry. Now I really want to preface this, guys. Everyone's claim can look very, very different with things happen. So make sure this is like pertaining to you. Your claim could also look different when they're requesting more information, request you to come in more or whatnot. So again, looks a little bit different. Anyways, guys, it was really nice talking to you guys. And remember, my name is Bnu Shafi. I also have a immigration company called Bnu Shafi Immigration Services. My website is bsims.com. I offer a lot of services on there, including consultation, reviewing of documents, including a refugee application, and also representation. That means I represent you from A to Z. If you guys are interested in any of those, make sure you check out my link, which is, I will put it in the description or in the comment section, most likely the description, for you to see what my websites are and what services I offer. If you have questions, please leave them in the comment section and I'll make more videos like this. But also remember, I make videos every day on my TikTok, and I also post a lot of really useful information on my Instagram. And my handles for those are @be the consultant. Alright guys, it was so nice talking to you guys, and I'll check you guys later.